It's Monday afternoon, and I, for the first time in too long, am doing something that I preach to a lot of my clients, which is completing a time tracker for the week. Here's a few uncomfortable things that I've learned. I'm Suzanne Rath, and you're listening to Endures for your daily dose of endurance leadership and life lessons. Now, I have seen time trackers completed in the most half-assed, for want of a better word, manner, where people have, 2 hours, they'll have emails, right? No relevance around what the emails are, for example, or if they are business building or if they're just replying to things from their team. And so the first thing I would say to you, when you do a time tracker, try to break it down into 15-minute blocks and be really specific around it. So like anything in life, the better the information you put in, the better information you get out of it. And just this morning, I was at a networking event and I thought to myself, I have a full week in work this week between the clinics, at home, and in my coaching and speaking business. So this is as good a time as any for me to complete a time tracker again. And here is one uncomfortable thing I have learned today. I have spent an hour out of my day trying to fix the shockwave machine in work. That is insane. So if I wasn't here, now granted, I wanted to use the shockwave machine because I have injured my foot. So that's a small little side note. However, if I wasn't here, if I was sticking to what I planned to do, if I was thinking about what was going to leverage my time best, if I was going to be thinking about the outcome that I want the most right now, or what my one core priority for the week is, do you think I would have spent an hour twiddling around, not just trying to fix it, but then watching one of my team as he tried to fix it, because I felt like I should. I felt like I should be a nice person and, stay and be encouraging and see what I could do, rather than acknowledging there was actually nothing I could do about it at that point in time. Probably 30 minutes beforehand, I'd actually identified what the issue was, which is that we need a replacement part. And I could have taken that time back to do something that was actually going to move the needle. And instead, I'm standing there twiddling around. Now, that's fine. And we all have times like that. And this is that midsection of the day where, we want to be more social. We want to respond to our teams. We want to, do the photocopying or the bits and pieces that need to be done to give our brains a little bit of a break. But here are 3 things that you will notice if you do a time tracker yourself. Number 1, in terms of my Activate Genius catalyst, are you actually working in your genius zone? Because as I mentioned, I'm not particularly mechanically savvy. I'm certainly not an engineer. I have team members that know how to service that shockwave, but here's me twiddling around doing that. 100% not my zone of genius. The second piece is, how do we design a rhythm with which we work, with which we live? So do we engineer our weeks, or are they reactive? Now, engineering your week, I do not want you or me to have every single aspect of the day accounted for, right? We don't want to time block our day in 15-minute color-coded blocks and beat ourselves up if something happens, or if the traffic is too heavy or the coffee queue is too long. But we want to be able to notice patterns. So something I'm really working hard on, again, recently, is blocking my optimal times of the day to work. And so I'm working on my stuff, my content creation, my tasks that really require brain power first thing in the morning, before I go into the clinics, before I have meetings, before I have networking, before I get into twiddly little financial tasks, before I get into my emails. And so this morning, I did a lot of conference outreach, as an example. I've made that a major priority to work through a spreadsheet that I have to get that actually done by the end of this week. And so I'm looking ahead at my diary and going, where am I time blocking to do that? Because that is a very high leverage task for me. So how do you engineer your week? And you will start to notice patterns in your time tracker where you're getting derailed or where you're task switching all the time. So you're having a day where you're marketing and doing team meetings and doing finance and doing some of the technical aspects of your role, and having a dinner and having a couple of glasses of wine. You're constantly switch. So your brain has all these unclosed loops, and also it's draining having to switch between all these different kinds of tasks rather than having a nicely engineered default diary that you try and stick to, or having a couple of core projects maybe in a day. And then the third piece is, how do you actually amplify your endurance? So your time tracker, I often encourage people to look at it in a way of looking at your energy or where you're leaking capacity. So what's an energy drain, right? And it might be in terms of tasks, it might be in terms of people, or it might be, as I just described, the task shifting. So a time tracker, if you do it properly and you put that detail into it, will often show you that you don't have a time problem. What you do have is actually a structure or a decision problem. So I look forward to sharing a little bit more of my findings later as the week goes on, and I will see you tomorrow for more from Endures. Bye.